Hi, excuse me, it's Mary. Welcome back to the Paper Turtle. Today I am going to be working on a little golden book journal. I'm going to be making the cover for it, very similar to this one. This is the first one that I have ever done, and I have the cover and I have the signatures sewn in, and I've started to decorate them. So I will be, this one needs more decorating, especially in the last signature. But today I'm going to be working on a different one. And that's going to be this one. I've already done a lot of the prep work on it because that's the kind of stuff, you probably don't need to see that on camera, so I've done it off camera and I'll just be putting it together. But I'm going to explain to you what I've done as I go along, so that this isn't really a tutorial, because I haven't done enough of them to really feel like I justify doing a tutorial. But if you are just learning and you want to learn from what I'm doing, I'll explain to you what I'm doing as I go along so that you can do that. Otherwise, get out your craft stuff and do whatever it is you're doing. Let me know in the comments below what you're working on while you're watching this. If you're working on anything, sometimes I just watch videos just because there's nothing on TV. I'm not always crafting while I'm watching, so maybe that's the case for you too. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to explain to you what I've done. So the first thing that I did was deconstruct the book. So all I have right now are the covers, and the pages are separate, and I'll show you that in a minute. But in order to do that, what you need to do, here's a different one that I'm not going to actually do, but I'm just going to show you. You have to take the golden part off of the book. I tried to save mine. If you're able to save it and you can use it somewhere else in the book, that's great. But most of the time, they can't really be saved. But underneath the golden part, there's staples. And you can see there's one right there. And if you feel around, I think that seems too far out. But that feels like where it is. Yeah, there's one right there. Kind of spaced oddly on this one, but okay. So once you get your gold paper off, then you have to take the staples out. And this one that I did, this was a kind of a thicker book. It's a newer one, I think. And the staples were in there pretty good. I had a hard time getting them out, but work your staples out, and then your book will open up and you can take the signatures right out of the book. Usually the golden books have 2 signatures in them. And if you just keep them intact the way that they are, and then you can add paper in between, and you can keep the story intact so that it stays in order. So here I've got, this is the beginning of the book, and then I've added some papers, and I'm not sure if I'm done adding paper or not. I have to go back and look at it. I'm not really working on that today, but I just wanted to show you how I got to the point where I'm at. So you can see I just added paper in between the pages of the book. And it keeps the book intact. So, like I said, there's 2 signatures in the book. Here's the second one. And I just put papers in between. And then there's the rest of them. And then the end of the book. I keep everything in order. And then I'm doing 3 signatures. So my third signature is just papers that I'm adding in. I do think I need to come up with a couple more for this third signature. So your first 2 signatures, the way that I'm doing it, will be the book. And then the third signature is just journaling paper. So I take those and I'm setting those aside because I'm not working with them right now. So that means I have the covers of the book that I'm working with. And what I need to do is I need a spine. So I cut these 2 pieces of cardboard, the length of the book, which in this case is 8 inches. And I want, this is a little under 2-inch spine. I had a piece of cardboard that came from a box or the insides of a, I don't know, a game or something that had, these were the flaps and they were already this width. So I just kept them and that's what I'm using. I save cardboard from everything. Food boxes, packaging, the backs of pads of paper, everything. You just keep it, save it, put it aside, and you will use it in some way, shape, or form in your journals. So that's just a little tip for you. Just keep all your cardboard. So here's the spine, and I'm gluing 2 of them together because the book is this thickness, and I wanted my spine to be the same thickness as the book. So in order to do that, I had to glue 2 pieces of this cardboard together. You may have cardboard that's the same thickness as the book, so you wouldn't have to do this. But that's what I'm doing. And then I've cut these 4 strips. Again, they're 8 inches long, and they're 3/4 of an inch wide. And it's pretty thin cardboard, and that's what I wanted for this. And they're going to go right here on the front and the back of each half of the book. And the reason for that is I want to stabilize the hinge. This was the original hinge in the book. In order for the book to be wide enough to accommodate the pages, you need to use this part. And you don't want it to be all flippy floppy, so these are going on it to stabilize it. And it's going to be covered. What's it going to be covered with? It's going to be covered with this fabric that I picked out. I thought it went pretty well with the colors. I kind of like it. And so what you need is a piece. This piece is, oh, it's about 18, a little under 18 inches long. And it is about 3 1/4 inches wide. Now for you, that's just going to depend on how wide your spine is and how far you want it to go over in the book. So that's what you're going to measure when you decide how big a piece of fabric you want. You're going to measure the width of your spine plus however much you want it to go over on the book on the front and the back. And that's how I came up with my size of, what did I say? 3 1/4? Yeah, 3 1/4. And then this is going to be trimming along here. So I'm going to get started and get this all put together. And I'm going to start with putting my spine pieces together. And that's just simply a matter of gluing them. It doesn't matter what it looks like or anything because it's all going to get covered up. And this is just to hold them together. So I'm just using my good old Aleene's tacky glue that I get for $1 at the dollar store. It's wonderful. I love it. And I'm going to just set them on there together. Even them up. And let that dry. Okay, then I need to put these things on. And again, it does not matter what they look like. You know what, I need something under here to glue on. Because this is a craft mat. It's an old Tim Holtz craft mat. And it's great for like paints and stuff. Well, I mean, it's good for glues and stuff too. It wipes right off. I love it. But for some reason, I don't want to get glue all over it. I don't know. It's weird. But I use these scrap pieces of paper. This came from one of those cookbook thingies. I took all the graphics out of it and I have the pages left. So I use them as my glue pages. And I can just throw them away when they get all glued up. I have the Tim Holtz craft mat, and underneath that I have a magnetic self-healing cutting mat, which is great. I really like it, but I don't want it to get all messed up, so I have it covered up. Does that make any sense at all? No, it doesn't. But for some reason, that's what I've chosen to do. So that's getting glued right on there. And I want it. It has to cover that hinge, that crease, but I also want it over to the edge as far as I can, because I don't want, you know, I want as much of the book itself to show on the finished product. But you do have to, the whole purpose of it is to cover this, support the hinge there. And these are really, really thin cardboards, because that's all you need. You just need to stabilize it. You don't want something real thick, because then it'll just be a lump, and you don't want the lump. This is why I don't use my craft mat, because I don't want the glue all over it. That was cute. There. So this one is nice, and well, it wobbles a little bit. I guess I didn't get over far enough. No, you can see where the little crease is, and I'm covering it. I think once everything else is on there, it'll be fine. I feel like it's a little wobbly, but I think it'll be okay. And I'm going to have to trim this right there, but I'll wait until the glue is all dry so I don't mess it all up. Okay. So, I don't know when this video is going to actually show up, when I'm actually going to post it, like it shows up all by itself. When I don't know exactly when I'm going to post it. So, and I realize I'm just out of frame, sorry. I have washi tape marked on my cutting mat here, so I know where my boundaries are, where to be in frame, and I forget about it all the time. I just get working and things slide around, and it's actually a little bit above where I would normally work on my table, so it's hard for me to remember to keep it there. Anyway, what I was saying, I don't know what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh, I don't know when I'm going to post this particular video, but the other day, it was my birthday, last week, actually, and I had put some things on my wish list on Amazon that things that I want to get at some point in time, but I just didn't really justify spending the money on it. So my husband had asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I said, well, I don't know, there's some stuff on my wish list if you want to take a look. I don't expect you to get everything. I think I have a Cricut Explore Air on there. I don't expect you to get everything, and don't get the Cricut because I'm not sure about that yet. So he went on Amazon and he looked. No, he didn't get the Cricut, but that's okay. That's another story. But what he got me, which to me was very cool, to some of you it's probably no big deal, but to me, it was cool, is this. Finally, I have some art glitter glue. Nope, I'm not using it on this because it is expensive, so I'm saving it for those times when I have said, oh, I wish I had some of that art glitter glue. So it's going to be used sparingly, but I have some and I'm happy about that. Okay, so my top and bottom are stabilized. Move that out of the way, and I'm going to trim this if I can. It's hanging over a little bit and I don't really like that. So hopefully, okay, I can do that without messing it all up. I can feel that the glue is still a little bit tacky under there. These things are still moving around a little bit. Okay. Oh, and I do want to tell you on the pages, I know we're not working on them today, but just in case I don't do another video or you don't watch the next video, I did have to end up cutting down the edge of these pages, I think like 1/4 of an inch, because when I stuck them in here just to try them, they went like way to the very, very edge of the book. I don't know if you can see that. And I didn't like them being right on the very edge of the book. So I kind of glanced through the pages to see if it would take anything out if I cut a little bit off, and it didn't. Because luckily with these pages, they all have these little decorative borders on each page. So there was space there. It didn't cut anything off of the page except a little bit of some of the borders. So that worked out okay. You can see there's nothing taken away from it. And I was able to trim it up just enough so that there's a little bit of an overhang from the book. Okay, so I have my back and cover stabilized. Now I'm going to attach my spine that is not gluing together real well. What's happening there? Huh, that is like coming right off. Get that. Well, time for some of this good old art glitter glue, I guess. Let's see if that will work really well. I know it'll get it down here in the crease. I really love this tiny tip. Now, I've been seeing things recently that there's a bottle that you can get that has this tiny tip. And I think if I remember right, they were getting it in the like the cake decorating section of the craft store, I think, because it's for doing fine decorating. It's an empty bottle, but it has a fine tip on it, and they're putting their, when I say they, other YouTubers is what I've been seeing, other crafters, putting their, like their Aleene's or whatever other glue they have into those bottles so that they have that very fine tip. But I've also, now that they've been using them for a little while, I'm hearing that they're not holding up very well. Boy, this cardboard just does not want to glue together. Look at that. I hope this is going to work. I'll have to resort to a different kind of glue if it doesn't. I don't know why this isn't staying together. I've never had this problem before. That's very strange. Come on, stick. It must be the type of cardboard or something that just doesn't want to take that glue. I think this glue is working a little better than the Aleene's. And sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to try different glues. Just the properties of the glue combined with whatever it is you're trying to glue just don't work well together sometimes. I know that I've tried to glue certain trims with the Aleene's, and it just wouldn't take it. So I also have this. It's also Aleene's, but it's a tacky glue, so it has, I think it's a little bit stronger. And then sometimes that doesn't work either. So I have, where is it? I hardly ever use it. What did I do with it? I want to show you what it is because it's a useful glue. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. I don't use this very often, but this is when I need super strength. It's Super Fabric Adhesive. Oh, it's also by Aleene's. And this works pretty good when I have to glue fabric onto something and the other glues just aren't working. But it stinks really bad. It's very potent. It's got a lot of acetone or something in it. Okay, so we have our spine and our book, and just making sure that it's going the right way. And what I'm going to do, it's going to end up, I'll show you how it's going to end up, because sometimes when I'm watching somebody do something, I can't figure out, well, what's your end thing? How's that going to work? Because I just can't picture it sometimes until it's all done. So this is going to be like this. And what I have to decide is where I want the fabric to meet on the back. And I generally like it to meet in the middle somewhere. I've also seen people do it so that, and maybe I'll try that. No, but I'll show you. I'm not going to do it because I think it's not going to go with this style of book. They do it so that the frayed part of the fabric right here hangs over the bottom a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a fringy type of thing on the bottom there. Oh, can't see that. Like this. But I'm not going to do that on this book because this book is going to be a bit more smooth and streamlined. So I'm going to have it so that it's more in the middle of the book so that you can't really see it. And I will have it so that the selvage end is on the top. Like that. So it's nice and neat and clean. Now your edges are all going to be, or my edges are all going to be covered. So I don't worry too much about that. All right, so this is where I'm going to want to glue everything. Now, because I had a little problem with the Aleene's gluing the cardboard together, I'm going to go ahead and use the art glitter glue on this. And what I do on these is I put the glue on and I smooth it out really well so that it doesn't leave lumps and bumps. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. And you can be fairly generous with the glue, but you don't have to overdo it. So what I'm going to do, I've put the glue on, and I'm going to take this card. These are the credit cards you get in the mail, or the AAA or the AARP that you really don't want the service. And I'm going to smooth this. This looks like it's drying like super fast. And what I'm trying to do is, oh yuck, this isn't working. What I'm trying to do is smooth out these lines so that you don't see those lines. I think this glue dries too fast for me to do this. I might have to end up trying the Aleene's. All right. Oh, I hope this is going to work. And I'm just setting it right on the fabric. And I'm going to flip it over just to make sure that my fabric is smooth. I think I got it in time. That's some fast drying glue. Now, normally I can just use the Aleene's, and I use the card to smooth it all out so it's nice and smooth, so you don't see the lines of the glue. This glue dried really fast, but you still don't see the lines of the glue, so that worked out. Then we're going to attach the books, and I'm going to put the glue on the book. I'm trying to decide. I think I'm going to use the Aleene's on this one. See how it works. So again, you just put your glue on. I'm just going to put it on the tab part that I made to stabilize it. And then I smooth it. And I smooth it. You can see how much smoother this is than the Aleene's. If you can at all use this as opposed to the Aleene's do it, because the Aleene's did not smooth out well. Alright, so it's all glues nice and smooth, so you're not going to be able to see anything. And then you put it on and you leave a little bit of space so that your book is going to bend. I want there to be a little bit of give there. I think that's even. It's a little tricky and you got to work with it a little bit. Alright, well I know where my trim is going to go. And then you can smooth the fabric out so that you don't have any lumps or bumps. See, this is a little bit crooked. I don't know if I'm going to be able to straighten it now that it's down there, but that's alright. When you're working with it and you're looking at it up close and everything, it's like you want that perfection. You see every little flaw and every little thing that you're doing and how it's coming out and everything. And that bothers me. It bothers me that I can see those flaws. But when it's all done, you're not going to see those. And unless you're doing this on camera for everybody in the world to see, nobody else is going to see them either. So try not to stress too much about some of the little flaws, because it's not going to matter. What I don't want, though, is there to be glue on the book. I think this part will end up being covered, but just in case, I don't want the glue on there. There. So, this has a little bit more space than this does, but that's okay. Again, one of those little tiny details that you're not going to see once the book is done. Now, people ask, when I say things like people ask, it's things that I see online in the Facebook groups, people asking. So people have asked about glue seeping through. Well, I can feel it. It has seeped through this fabric a little bit, but this Aleene's dries very well and very clear, and you won't see that. See, already it's drying and I can't see anything of where it's seeping through. And now we're going to do the inside. And this is the one I want on the top, so this is going to be on the bottom. I actually find that Aleene's works very, very well with the fabrics. Now this is going to be a test because I'm going to put it on the middle too. We'll see how it works there. Hopefully it'll work. The whole glue thing, what kind of glue to use, it's really a trial and error, part trial and error and part personal preference. I am finding there really is no magical glue that does everything and takes care of all the problems. And then there's ways to use the glue that will make it work better too. So I'm just going to pull this down. Don't want any wrinkles in it, but you're not going to see it anyway. If you happen to get a wrinkle, this is going to be underneath all your signatures. So you're really not going to see this too much. I am going to put trim along this side. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But in this case, I'm going to because I don't want the cardboard strip showing. I could have cut the fabric a little bit wider and it would cover all of that and you wouldn't see it. But I'm not that concerned with it. Now, what I'm doing is I'm running my fingernail inside the crease here because you want to make sure that it's going to fold nicely. Talk about seepage. Check your back. That all just seeped right through the fabric, the glue did, which is fine. I knew I had extra glue on there. Still looks wonderful. And then this one will come up like this. That's probably more glue than I need. And keep in mind also that in this part, your signatures are also going to hold it all together. So you really don't need tons and tons of glue. You just need to hold it in place. Oh, and I don't want you down there. I want you up here. I have to put a little extra. I don't like how that's coming out right there. Figure out how to fix that. I just want to make sure I don't have all the excess glue over here. But again, I got to keep in mind that this is going to be underneath the signatures. You're not going to see this. You might see this a little bit, but I think that's going to be okay. Okay. Now, what I'm not really liking is how this is not, But let me put the trim on it and see how it looks with the trim on. See, look at that. That's got a lump. I don't like that lump. But I guess it's okay. I think it's because I didn't pull this tight enough. It's too late now. So it's gonna be fine. All right. What I'm going to do now is put the trim on. I just want to cut these threads. Boy, I think my scissors need to be sharpened. I probably have glue on them. Those edges off. I'm going to use these scissors. These are more my nicer fabric scissors. And I think for this, I am going to just go straight to this glue, because this is kind of a, it's not super heavy trim, but it's, I don't know, I'm just afraid that the white glue isn't going to hold it very well. So I want it to run along the edge of here. And hopefully that's straight. I don't think it is, but you know, always keeping in mind that this is not, this is not a perfect craft. These are handmade items that, yeah, sometimes there's little flaws in them, but that's what makes them handmade. You know what I mean? It's, if you want something perfect, you buy something that's made by machines. These are made by hand, so they can be professional and look professional, but still have little tiny flaws in them. And it's okay. I really like how that looks. What do you think about that? I'm going to trim that up a little bit once it all dries. That edge, it was pretty frayed. I put some extra glue on it to keep it from fraying more, but there's still room for trimming, so there. I think that looks pretty straight and pretty good. Now we'll do the back side. I really like working with these little golden books. They're a lot of fun, and they're a really good size for a journal. And like I said, that other one, the Bambi one I showed you at the beginning, it was actually my first one, and I haven't finished it yet. So I have not made a complete little golden book journal. These are only the first two that I've done. I've done other used books in the same way for other journals, so it's not my first time making a spine and covering it with fabric. Not the first time I've done what I'm doing. It's just the first time with little golden books. I've collected so many of them, and I had not used them. I thought I need to start using them, and I've been commissioned to make one, or to make a journal for somebody to give as a gift for Christmas, just like I did last year. Same person has commissioned me again, but I showed her what I had, and she wasn't sure which one she wanted. And I gave her the choice of some other styles and the Bambi book. And I said, or I can make you something else, something different. And I don't know if she wasn't crazy about the Bambi. She didn't like the other styles, which is fine because they were much smaller. I don't know if she wasn't crazy about the Bambi book for this particular person she's giving it to or what. But she says, and it's my mother, so I can talk about her like this. She says, well, make the other one, and then I'll choose between the two. So that's what I'm doing, and then whichever one she doesn't pick, I'll have for to sell or whatever it was I was going to do with it to begin with. I was making the Bambi book to sell. All right, now I'm still not super crazy about how this is still feels like it's bending right here. But I'm going to still put something on the inside too. I think it's just going to be rickrack though. And I think I'm going to use one of these. I have the light pink and I have these. The light pink is wider, and I think that I'm going to go ahead and use the light pink because I think I need the wider one. And that looks nice. I like it. Okay. Now what you can do on yours as an option, after I cut the threads off, because I can't talk and do something at the same time. If your book is not in good condition or you don't like what's in the book, sometimes these are written in, and you want to cover it with paper. I usually do that before I do this part. I usually will go ahead and cover this first so that this part goes over the paper. Or if you want your paper to go over your ends of the fabric, you can do it first. So that's just a personal preference of how you want it to look. I did not put papers in this one. What I did in this one, I have the wide rickrack on the outside, and on the inside I have some hem tape. And you can see here's where the fabrics overlap, and it doesn't, you can't really tell. And even if you could, it doesn't take away from the aesthetic of the book. This one, I put a pocket. I don't know if there was writing there or if I just wanted a pocket. I'm not sure. But that one I did add a pocket. And I haven't done anything on the back yet. I might do a pocket. I might just leave it. I'm not sure. So I'm going to put these here. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and use this simply because I'm gluing this trim to the fabric and I don't know how well any of it's going to take. So I'll just go straight for the stronger stuff. Just lay it right along the edge. And hopefully that will also help stabilize that cover. I don't know why that's not, didn't stabilize. Maybe my cardboard was too thin, or maybe it was not quite wide enough. So those are some things when you're doing yours to keep in mind, that you might need a little bit thicker cardboard. Not too thick though, because you don't want it to lump. So don't do it too thick. And you may need it just a little bit wider, maybe 1 inch. I did 3/4 of an inch. Try 1 inch. That might That might work a little bit better. But then the thing is, if you do that, you may have to have your fabric come out a little wider so that it covers the, this is a mess. I put too much glue on and now it's all seeping through. I need to get a cleaner paper towel. Hold on. When you do yours, don't use so much glue. It's supposed to dry clear, but I still think that you can see it a little bit if it dries clear. See, now I can feel, you probably can't see it, but as I'm doing this, I can feel I'm right on the edge of that stabilizing strip. I'm going right along the edge of it, and it's, I can feel the lump. I don't think that you're going to be able to notice it on the finished product, so I'm not real worried about it. I'm just making an observation and trying to remember these things for the next time I make one. Each time, unless you're like very, 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 very experienced, each time you make a journal, you learn something. You learn what you like and what you don't like. You learn tips and tricks, what to do, what not to do. Each one is a learning experience. You know, like I said, unless you've made a million of them and you can do it in your sleep, you're probably not learning the little tips and tricks anymore, but I still consider myself a beginner, so I feel like I'm still learning the tips and tricks. Okay, I think that that's pretty good. I think I got all that excess glue up. You can see a little bit there, but it's still wet, so I think it's going to dry okay. Ooh, okay, Mary, not so much glue the next time. Alright, I think that's going to look okay when it's all dried. I hope. I may be trashing this book. I don't know. No, it's going to be fine. See, now on this one, the fabric here, either I didn't pull it enough or it was cut crooked, so it doesn't totally cover like the rest of it does, but I think that the rickrack will cover it enough. That's kind of why I used the wider rickrack. So if you find that you've got more that you need to cover, just use something a little bit wider. I've got wider trims I could use. And on this part of it, you can use anything. Trim, ribbon, I don't know, all kinds of things. You could even put like another strip of fabric or something along there. See, you're not going to be able to tell. I think that'll work really well. Still have excess glue. We're going to dab it away and try to keep everything straight. Now I'm trying to decide, when I sew in my signatures, if I'm going to do buttons again, like I did on the Bambi one. That seems to be the trend in the junk journal world. Certainly not something that has to be done on a little golden book, but it's cute because most, golden books are children's books, so the bright buttons go well with it, so it's cute. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do that again on this one. I think that my mother seemed to think when she looked at that one that it was maybe a little bit too, I don't know, childish. But to me, let's move those over just a little bit. Little golden books are timeless, and even if you're an adult, it's, for most of us, it's nostalgic. So it's not so much childish, it's just nostalgic. And I love Bambi. Bambi's like my favorite. So this is what I did on the spine of this one. So I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I want to do buttons on it like this. If I do, I think I'm going to do not so many buttons. I did 4 on each length of the stitching because, you know, the stitching, I do 3 holes, so it comes in 2, it ends up in 2 sections of stitching. So it just seemed to even it out, I put 2 buttons in each section of stitching. But I think that's too many for my taste. I think that I want, but I don't know how I would space out if I did 3 in each section. Gosh, I don't know. Maybe I won't do buttons. Maybe I'll do a tassel instead. Might do that. Maybe I'll put buttons on the tassel. We'll see. But I think I'm going to do it a little different from this. Probably not going to put buttons. Alright, so here is our book. I need to trim these ends. That's going to need more glue. This way I don't trim until it's dry. I'm going to wait before I do any more because I don't want to pull any more of it up. Just add a little glue there. Put that back down. And I'll wait until everything is dry. So here is the cover with your fabric back on the spine. Yeah, that's more reinforced now. See how that's good. So we have the fabric on the spine, we have the trim on the edge of the fabric here on the front and on the back, and on the inside we have the trim going along there. And I think that's really pretty. And so your signatures will end up, I always do this, I put them in, I try it out, I test it, I make sure, I don't know, I just play with it, probably way too much. So signatures will be in like that, and it'll be like that, all decorated up. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so there we have the cover of a little golden book. I hope that this helped you if you are new to this and you had not done this before, even though, you know, it's not perfect and I'm not super professional. It's still fun. It's fun to do, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope you try your own if you haven't tried it already. And yeah, that's it. Hit the like button, shoot me a comment, tell me what you think, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.